At brunch, my daughter revealed, "I am done." What happened next was an incredible life-changing moment. The small cafe bustled like a hive, laughter echoing off the walls, scents of freshly brewed coffee and pancakes mingling in the air. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting warm shadows on the tables filled with families and friends celebrating together. Sarah, a single mother with tired eyes and a weary smile, sat among them, her heart racing with a mix of joy and anxiety. Today was Lucy's sweet 16, an age that carried whispers of promises and dreams. Yet, as Sarah looked at her daughter, she noticed an unease lurking behind Lucy's bright eyes. The cake was a masterpiece chocolate with delicate pink frosting, adorned with candles that flickered like her fleeting childhood. As they all gathered around, ready to sing, Sarah's mind spun with a whirlpool of worries. Bills loomed large in the back of her mind, the weight of waiting tables pressing down on her shoulders. And the absence of her husband, a soldier who paid the ultimate price, left a wound that might never heal. "Happy birthday!" They cheered and Lucy smiled, but Sarah could see the storm brewing beneath the surface. The cake lit the table with warmth, but it couldn't dissolve the tension that surrounded them. Suddenly, Lucy stood up. "I'm done." Her voice sliced through the jubilant atmosphere, silencing laughter and freezing all eyes on her. Sarah's heart raced. Was this a joke? It felt like the walls were closing in as Lucy's declaration hung heavy in the air. The room was thick with tension, conversations halted, and Sarah could feel the collective breath of the brunch patrons, their faces painted with disbelief. "I can't live here anymore," Lucy continued, her eyes blazing with emotion. "This place, it's not for me. I want to go to an elite school, a chance to make something of myself." Gasps echoed at the table, family members exchanging stunned glances. Sarah's heart sank. She fought back tears. Her voice trembled as she replied, "But Lucy, our community, our family, I don't want to be trapped in a life defined by your struggles, Mom. I love you, but I want more." Lucy's anger burned contrast against Sarah's hurt. The brunch had morphed from celebration to confrontation. The cool clinking of glasses was replaced by an eerie silence. The air felt charged with unspoken words, a tension that prickled Sarah's skin. Lucy's frustration spilled out, revealing an ache for freedom that clashed against Sarah's longing to keep their world intact. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now, let's continue. A family friend, witnessing the clash, leaned forward. "Lucy, your dreams matter, but so does your family. We need to find a way to support one another." Lucy's defiance flickered, but then she turned on her heel and stormed outside, leaving behind a whirlwind of emotions and questions. Sarah felt anchored to the spot, torn between love for her daughter and fear of losing her to a world beyond grasp. In that crowded cafe, surrounded by friends and family, she felt utterly lost and terrified. What was next for them? Could love bridge the gap between dreams and duty? The question lingered, much like the smell of pancakes hovering in the air, heavy yet somehow comforting, as the bustle of life outside continued on. Moment. Sarah sat at the table, heart pounding in her chest. The laughter of the cafe felt distant now, a world away from the chaos now swirling in her mind. She glanced around, searching for support in surprised faces, but they were lost in shock as well. The moment had shifted from joy to disbelief in an instant, like flipping a switch. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed herself to her feet. She needed to follow Lucy. Outside, the afternoon was bright, sunlight shimmering against the pavement, but none of it reached her. She fought her way through the crowd, the cacophony of voices a backdrop to her racing thoughts. What had just happened? More importantly, how could she reach her daughter, who had already stepped into the storm? When she burst through the cafe door, The fresh air hit her like a wave, but it couldn't wash away her worry. There was Lucy, standing apart, arms crossed tightly like a shield against the world. Her shoulders were rigid, the lines on her face showing both defiance and pain. Sarah approached cautiously. "Lucy," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can we talk?" Lucy shook her head, her expression resolute. "I don't want to talk, Mom. I want to be free of this town and its limits. You keep trying to shield me from everything, but it's not working." Sarah's heart ached. "It's not about shielding you. It's about wanting you to have a home. A place where you can be loved and safe. I miss your father, too, but we have to hold on to what we have. But what if that isn't enough for me?" Lucy's eyes glistened, a combination of anger and sadness. "I need to see what else is out there. I want to chase my dreams. You've sacrificed so much, but I can't continue living in a shadow in our past." Those words hit hard. The shadow of her husband's absence felt heavier than ever. How could she tell her daughter how much responsibility she felt? How could she explain that letting Lucy chase her dreams felt like admitting defeat? Instead, she took a steadier breath and let vulnerability wash over her. "What if I tell you that it's okay to want more?" Sarah's voice shook with emotion. "I want you to chase your dreams, I do. But I'm scared of losing you, scared that you'll leave everything we know behind." Lucy's fierce expression softened just slightly. "Mom, don't you see? I don't want to leave you behind. I want a chance to be someone different, someone more than what this place offers." Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she looked at her daughter, who was ready to step into the unknown. Suddenly, the weight of her own fears felt burdensome. "Then how can we make this work together? If there's a way for you to soar and still keep coming back home, I want to find it." Lucy stepped closer, her face searching Sarah's for understanding. "I need you to believe in my dreams as much as I do. I want you to be proud of me, not just for what I achieve, but for who I become." The sunlight illuminated their eyes, glinting like hope. Sarah knew this was a pivotal moment. It was more than a discussion. It was the beginning of a shift. But a shift into what? Would it lead to a life intertwined with dreams and love, or would it create an unbreakable divide? "Let us talk to Grandma too," Lucy suggested, a flicker of determination in her voice. "Maybe she can help us find a way." The idea sparked something inside Sarah. Perhaps support was just a conversation away, a chance to unite their dreams. But as they walked back inside, another worry lingered in Sarah's heart. Would the answer they discovered push them closer or set them further apart? The cafe door swung open, and she felt the heat of uncertainty. The moment hung in the air, heavy yet filled with the potential for change. What awaited them on the other side of their plans? Sarah and Lucy stepped back into the cafe, the sounds of laughter and chatter wrapping around them once more. But the vibrant atmosphere felt different now, charged with unspoken tensions. As they found a corner table, Sarah couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety that hung like a dark cloud over her thoughts. Lucy pulled out her phone, typing furiously as Sarah watched, a blend of worry and pride swelling in her chest. In a few moments, the energy surrounding them shifted as Lucy looked up. "I texted Grandma. She said she'd meet us here in a half hour," she announced, her tone striking a balance between relief and determination. "Good," Sarah replied, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "I think she can help us sort this out." As the minutes passed, the air buzzed with uncertainty, the faint sounds of coffee being poured and cups clinking intermingling with the rapid heartbeat in Sarah's chest. When Grandma finally arrived, her presence felt like a balm, a soothing reassurance. The elderly woman walked with a grace that belied her years, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. She hugged Lucy tightly, briefly breaking the tension. "Let us sit down, shall we?" Grandma suggested, her voice gentle yet commanding. She settled into a chair, her gaze shifting between mother and daughter. "What is going on here? You both look like you've just stepped off a roller coaster." Sarah shared a glance with Lucy. How could they even start to convey the whirlwind of emotions? "It's complicated," Sarah began, grasping for the right words to encapsulate the churning heart of the matter. "I feel trapped," Lucy interjected, the frustration laden in her voice. "I love this town, but it feels like it's holding me back. I need to explore, to chase who I really am. I want Mom to understand that I'm ready. Grandma looked thoughtfully at both of them, her expression digesting Lucy's words. You know, wanting more for yourself doesn't mean you love your family any less, she said, her tone tender yet firm. This is a tough time in your life, dear. Change can be scary, but it can also lead to wonderful new beginnings. The fire behind Lucy's eyes flickered, the weight lifting just a little. But I don't want to hurt her. I can't stand the thought of leaving Mom alone. I know, Sarah said, the lump in her throat tightening. But it's just so hard to let go. I want to be supportive, but the fear of losing you is suffocating. Grandma reached for Sarah's hand, squeezing it lightly. You two are not losing each other. Instead, you are growing in different ways. It's like a tree branching out. You can reach toward the sky, yet remain rooted in love. It's all about balance. Lucy nodded slowly, her expression softening as the images of what could be began to form in her mind. Maybe we can come up with a plan. Something that keeps us connected. That's exactly right, Grandma affirmed. Talk about what you both need. Create a way that lets Lucy chase her dreams while Sarah feels secure in that bond. Sarah's heart lightened, but uncertainty lingered. Could it truly be that simple? A plan that didn't involve a goodbye but a new beginning? Let us start small, Lucy suggested, her tone surging with hope. We can work out how often I can come back, maybe during school breaks, or we can set up video calls. I need to know you're still in my corner. I want us all to agree on this, Grandma added. What matters is compromise and love. Your lives are unfolding, and it's okay to embrace that. You'll find strength in each other. As they laid out the framework of a plan together, Sarah felt a flutter of excitement, mingled with apprehension. Hope sparked like a match in her heart. Could this truly be the beginning of something new? But just as they were about to finalize their intentions, a familiar face appeared at the cafe doorway. Sarah's heart sank as a wave of confusion washed over her. It was someone she never expected to see again, someone from the life she thought she had left behind. What was he doing here? And how would his presence change everything they had begun to build? The cafe door swung open with a creak that seemed to slice through the tension at the table. Sarah's eyes widened as they locked onto the figure entering. Jake. A part of her felt rooted to the spot, the years peeling away like layers of paint, revealing memories she wished she could bury. He stepped inside, scanning the room, and Sarah instinctively pulled back. She knew his presence would stir the pot of emotions already bubbling beneath the surface. Would Lucy notice him too? Mom? Lucy's voice cut through her thoughts. What's wrong? Sarah forced a tight smile, but her heart raced like a wild horse. Nothing, she lied, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. That's Jake, isn't it? Lucy leaned forward, her brow furrowed in confusion. Yeah, Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. But Mom, you have to talk to him, Lucy urged, an unexpected determination in her eyes. You can't just pretend he doesn't exist. I don't want to, Sarah replied. Not now, not like this. Just then, Jake spotted them and his lips curved into a hesitant smile, confusion flickering across his face when he noticed Lucy. He made his way towards them, each step a painful reminder of their shared past. Sarah, he said, his voice low but steady. It's good to see you. Jake, she replied, her words clipped, like stones dropping into a still pond. Lucy was watching attentively, her gaze darting between her mother and Jake. Hey, she said cautiously, I'm Lucy. His smile widened, a hint of warmth breaking through the awkwardness. Nice to meet you, Lucy. The air felt heavy as they exchanged pleasantries. Sarah's thoughts raced. Why was he back? This wasn't how she envisioned her day unfolding. They had worked so hard to build boundaries, walls to keep out the past. I didn't mean to intrude, Jake said, glancing at Sarah and then back at Lucy. I just wanted to grab a coffee. Is it all right if I join you? What do you think, Mom? Lucy asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, already processing the new puzzle in front of her. No, Sarah said, the words slipping out before she could catch it. She regretted the sharpness as soon as it left her lips, but couldn't take it back. I mean, not now. This is complicated. The weight of the moment settled heavily around them. Lucy's eyes widened slightly, realizing the depth of Sarah's discomfort, but instead of retreating, she leaned forward, determined to advocate for conversation. But maybe it's a chance for some closure? Sarah clenched her fists against the wooden table, heart pounding in her chest. Closure? That word echoed in her mind, taunting her. Lucy, this isn't mom. We're trying to move forward together, Lucy interrupted, her passion ringing clear. This is part of that. Isn't it? A silence enveloped them, an openness sparked by Lucy's vulnerability. The tension was palpable, a crossroads where past and future collided. Jake's presence felt both foreign and familiar. Memories danced at the edge of Sarah's consciousness. Their laughter, the dreams they once shared, they all threatened to pull her back into a different existence. Could this be a moment of reckoning instead of regret? Sarah looked into Lucy's eager eyes, filled with bravery and hope. Could she take the step? Let the past etch its story alongside the new chapter they'd begun? With a deep breath, she nodded. All right, if you want to talk, Jake, let us talk. As she spoke, a chill slid down her spine. What would this conversation ignite? Jake's expression shifted, anxiety washing over him as he recognized the opportunity. This wasn't just a chat. It was the moment of truth, and everything could change. Let us sit, he said, taking the seat Sarah had silently offered. As they began, the cafe around them blurred into a backdrop, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of unraveling a far larger tapestry. What would Jake reveal that could shift her carefully constructed world? Would the past close in, or could it finally set them free? Jake shifted slightly in his chair, glancing between Sarah and Lucy, his brow furrowed with anticipation. The cafe's ambience faded into a distant hum, leaving just the three of them suspended in this fragile moment. First of all, I'm sorry for showing up unannounced, he started, his voice steady but tinged with regret. I didn't mean to disrupt anything. It's fine, Sarah replied, the words feeling hollow. We were just having a normal brunch. Lucy leaned forward, entirely invested in the unfolding scene. You can say anything, Jake. We're all ears. Jake nodded, a hint of nervousness breaking his composure. I've missed too much, haven't I? I can feel it, he admitted, his gaze settling on Sarah. I know this isn't easy. I shouldn't have assumed. What do you want, Jake? Sarah blurted, frustration rising inside her, her fingers tapping on the table. This isn't just an apology tour, and you're not just going to waltz back into my life. It doesn't work that way. Lucy's eyes widened, her mother's intensity catching her off guard. Mom, she whispered, her voice barely above the clatter of cups and conversations. But Jake simply absorbed the blow with quiet dignity. I know I've made mistakes, Sarah. Leaving was one of them. I was scared. Scared? Sarah echoed incredulously, her breath catching. You didn't think about us? About Lucy? The word hung in the air. It deepened the chasm between what they had been and what they could have been. I was selfish, Jake confessed, rubbing the back of his neck, his vulnerability laid bare. I thought it was for the best, but it wasn't. Coming back now, I just want to see if there's a chance to be here for you both. I hope I can make amends. A ripple of emotion pricked at Sarah's heart. She remembered the late nights spent talking, the warmth of shared dreams. Could time really undo the hurt? She stole a glance at Lucy, whose face reflected both curiosity and an undeniable yearning for connection. What do you mean by being here for us? Sarah finally managed to ask, the words coming out softer now. The storm within began to settle, just a bit. I want to help, be a part of your lives again, Jake said, his voice rising with conviction. Not just at a distance, but actually be here when you need me. I've changed, and I want to prove that. It might not fix everything, but I'm willing to try. Lucy perked up, hope blossoming in her eyes. That sounds good, right, Mom? If he's willing isn't enough, Sarah replied, shaking her head, a knot forming in her stomach. You don't know what you're asking. What if you decide to leave again? Show me you're serious first, before I let you back in. Silence followed, thick and heavy. Jake's jaw tightened. I will, I promise. Just give me a chance. They spoke in half-truths, navigating a conversation filled with landmines. As they exchanged words about the past, the weight of their history lingered like a shadow. Sarah felt her defenses slumping slightly, weakness creeping in where she always felt so strong. Lucy took a deep breath, as if ready to bridge the chasm. "This is a start, Mom. Maybe it's a chance for us to heal together." Together, Jake echoed softly, eyeing Sarah with a mix of hope and trepidation. As the words flitted like whispers in the air, Sarah's heart fluttered with something unexpected. Could it be hope? Could they really mend what was once shattered? But then, a familiar weight of uncertainty gripped her once more. If Jake was here, willing to change, what would that mean for their future? "You know we can't go back," she warned, her voice trembling slightly. "Everything is different now." Maybe that's what we need," he replied, earnestness illuminating his features. As Sarah contemplated his words, a profound truth settled in her mind. Change was inevitable, but could it be for the better? The cafe noise faded further into the background, but in that small space, a new chapter was waiting to be written. And as Sarah looked into Lucy's bright eyes and Jake's hopeful gaze, she knew a decision lay ahead, one that would require all her strength to face. What would she choose? An old wound, or the possibility of healing? With their lives intertwined yet again, the path forward was murky. "Let us take it one step at a time," she finally murmured, the tension in her chest still palpable. But as she uttered those words, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battles lay ahead, and the most painful truths were yet to be revealed. What would they uncover next? The air hung heavy with unspoken words and the lingering scent of coffee as Sarah processing her own emotions. It felt as if the simple cafe had transformed into a battlefield where memories clashed with desires. For a moment, she searched Jake's eyes, looking for a flicker of the man she'd known, the man she had once loved deeply. Lucy, oblivious to the tension, leaned into the table. "Can we get pancakes?" she asked, her voice brightening the suffocating atmosphere for just a moment. The innocent request felt like an anchor in turbulent waters, reminding Sarah of the small joys they shared as a family before everything had shattered. "Pancakes sound great." Jake smiled at Lucy, but the reaction fell flat on Sarah. She couldn't ignore the little girl's hopeful gaze, or the way it reminded her of those simpler times. But those memories were forged in a different life, one that felt impossibly distant. "Mom?" Lucy's voice pulled Sarah back. "What do you think?" Sarah shifted her attention to her daughter. "Pancakes are fine," she replied, her heart heavy. Jake nodded, a sense of relief washing over him. "I'll get them," he said, and stood up, leaving Sarah and Lucy alone in the pregnant silence. As Lucy rummaged through the menu, Sarah took a deep breath, trying to navigate the complex emotions swirling inside her. "Lucy, sweetheart," she began, unsure of how to voice her fears. "I know this is a big change. Do you really understand what's going on?" Lucy glanced up, seriousness etched on her young face. "I think so. People can change, right? Like how you took that class. You changed. That's different, honey." "This is about feelings, relationships," Sarah hesitated, searching for the right words. "It's not always that simple." "But yes, trying," Lucy insisted, her voice gaining strength. "Maybe we can try together? You know, like a family. We can be whole again." The truth hung thick in the air at Lucy's words, a blend of innocence and hope that made Sarah's heart ache. "But what if it doesn't work? What if he goes away again?" "I don't think he will," Lucy replied, her blue eyes wide and filled with optimism. "You told me once that love is about trust, Mom. Can't we trust him a little?" Sarah wished she could embrace that childlike reasoning. It felt naive, yet it also sparked something in her chest, a light flicker of hope. If only she could trust herself as easily. Just then, Jake returned with their plates piled high with pancakes, syrup glistening like liquid sunshine. He set the food down, grinning like he had just defeated the world. Seeing Lucy's face transform into sheer delight made Sarah's heart pound with a mix of pain and longing. "Dive in," he declared, but Sarah could see the mixed expressions overlaying Lucy's excitement. It was as if Jake unknowingly fastened the weight of their unresolved issues right back to the table. As they began to eat, laughter bubbled up from Lucy, but it felt muted. Sarah sneaked looks at Jake, trying to decipher his intentions. Was he really changed? Did those words hold truth? Sarah, Jake finally said, his brow slightly furrowed. I need you to know I'm here. I want to run away again. I swear. His voice was steady, but it drew a flinch from Sarah. The more he spoke, the more she felt her defenses cracking, but she couldn't let go of the fear coiling tightly around her heart. I wish I could believe that, Jake, she whispered, fighting back the rising tide of emotion. But trust takes time. Oh, I know, Jake replied softly, his gaze unwavering. I'm willing to earn it. Lucy, bouncing in her chair, interjected with a grin, Mom, can we trust him? I mean, we can try something new. With that, the cafe resumed its hum, and Sarah felt the weight of their fragile new beginning. Did they dare hope? But the question echoed in her mind, could they really reshape their lives, or were they merely setting themselves up for more pain? As the three of them shared laughter above the plates of pancakes, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of impending change. The truth loomed just out of reach, waiting to uncover its secrets. Could they survive the terrain of newfound trust? Or would the shadows from their past consume them once more? In that moment, Sarah drew a deep breath, pushing forward with hesitance and determination. What lay ahead was unknown, but perhaps there was one more thing she had to confront before they could move on. And it terrified her. The bell above the cafe door jingled, announcing the arrival of a small group of patrons, their laughter spilling into the already filled room. Sarah sat rigid at the table, attention shifting between the playful banter of the newcomers and the syrupy pancakes that seemed to glow under the dim light. The warmth of the scene felt almost surreal, like watching someone else's joy unfold. Mom, are you going to eat? Lucy asked, her small hand reaching for Sarah's plate. The innocent diversion from her thoughts brought a small smile to Sarah's face, and she gently nudged the plate back toward her daughter. Of course I am, she said, her voice softer now. I just got lost in my mind a little. Are you thinking about Daddy? Lucy's directness hit Sarah like a tide, washing over her with the weight of unspoken concerns. Sometimes, Sarah admitted, her heart tangled in a knot. She hesitated, trying to tread the fine line between protecting her daughter and keeping it real. Sometimes I wonder if it's really possible for people to change. Jake watched them intently. What if I told you I've wanted to be better? That I want to be more for you both? His voice held a quiver that reminded Sarah of the man who used to hold her close in safer times, but the uncertainty of the past lingered like smoke in the air. Just saying it isn't enough, Sarah replied, shooting him a glance that mixed skepticism with pain. Lucy chewed a piece of pancake thoughtfully, her little brow furrowing in concentration. Then, in a moment of bravery that took both adults by surprise, she declared, I'm done with waiting. Why don't we just be happy now? It was as if the air sucked out of the cafe momentarily, leaving an echo of Lucy's boldness hanging in the stillness. The older patrons at nearby tables glanced over, intrigued by the intensity of a child's bold statement. Lucy, Jake began, uncertainty creeping into his tone. It's important to be careful about, I know. Lucy interrupted, her frustration bubbling over. But it hurts seeing everyone sad. I just want us to be a family again. Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes. This wasn't how they were supposed to talk, not in a tiny cafe surrounded by strangers. But sometimes the truth broke through even the most delicate silence. Sweetheart, Sarah took Lucy's tiny hand. It's complicated adult stuff, I understand more than you think, Lucy insisted, her voice firm despite her small stature. I want you to be happy, Mom. I can't keep pretending. Jake's expression softened, the weight of Lucy's words sinking deep. You're right, Lucy, he said, leaning forward as if reaching for some hidden strength. I have made mistakes, and I want to make things right. I want to give you both the happiness you deserve. Sarah felt her defenses weakening again, tangled with both fear and hope. She looked over at Lucy, who was watching them with earnest expectation. The love between them was palpable, a bond that couldn't easily be shattered. But a different kind of fear washed over Sarah, a fear of trusting too soon and being left shattered once again. What would it take to shield her family from potential heartbreak while still allowing them to rebuild? As laughter erupted around them again, a clamor of voices and plates clinking together, Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. Jake reached out and touched her hand gently. Let us face this together. We can find a way back. But was it really possible? Could they gather the broken pieces of their lives and forge something new and beautiful from them? In that moment, Sarah knew they had a monumental choice to make. Would they dare to leap into the unknown, bridging the widening gap between their desires and fears? The question hung in the air, a challenge both frightening and exhilarating. The truth awaited. Would they dare to unearth its potential? The silence that followed Lucy's bold declaration felt dense, as if everyone in the cafe was holding their breath. Sarah's gaze met Jake's. The flicker of hope in his eyes mingled with fear, neither of them truly believing that their daughter could show them a path to happiness. Lucy, Sarah started, but words caught in her throat. Can we try, please? Lucy pressed, her small hands now holding tightly to Sarah's. I miss when we used to laugh together. You always said that families are supposed to be happy. A pang of longing shot through Sarah as she thought of the laughter that once filled their home. It was a sound now buried under layers of hurt, disappointment, and broken promises. What do you want us to do? Jake asked softly, leaning closer, his tone laced with sincerity. I want to go to the park and have a picnic. Just us, Lucy said, her voice filled with determination. No more sad faces. Just food, games, and smiles. Sarah could feel her heart softening around Lucy's request. A picnic. It sounded so innocent, so simple. Could they really capture joy again like they used to before the darkness settled over their family? Maybe we could try, Sarah ventured, letting a glimmer of hope sneak in. We could pack sandwiches and some of that juice you like. Yeah, and dessert. Lucy chirped, her eyes lighting up as she bounced in her chair. Jake chuckled gently. I think we can definitely make that happen. I can pick up some donuts too. The laughter around them felt less intimidating now, and Sarah couldn't help but smile despite the uncertainty swirling inside her. Maybe this was their first step not just toward a picnic in the park, but toward something more meaningful. As they made plans, a warmth spread through Sarah. For the first time in months, she envisioned a life for her family where laughter flowed as easily as syrup over pancakes. Still, the apprehension lingered. Was this it? A picnic wouldn't fix what was broken, but could it be a start? A tentative step into the light instead of lingering in the shadows of their past? Okay, Sarah said, her voice stronger now. Let's do it. A picnic it is. Jake offered her a grateful smile. It wrapped around Sarah like a whisper of reassurance, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this. But deep down, fear crept back in. What if this moment of hope was just an illusion, one that would shatter the moment they returned to the weight of reality? Lucy clapped her little hands together, joy exploding from her like sunshine breaking through clouds. Yay! I'm so excited. And that when it hit her a thought that had been lurking at the edges of her mind. Could she allow herself to be excited too? Was it okay to hope? But even as she dipped into that fragile space, an inner voice warned her that hope was as fickle as the wind. They spent the rest of the brunch immersed in planning, bustling with ideas for their park escape. Jake suggested games, while Lucy envisioned blankets and sandwiches packed with her favorite fillings. As they talked, Sarah felt a flicker of light spilling into the dark corners of her heart. Yet, just as they were beginning to feel a sense of unity, the cafe door opened, and in walked a figure that made Sarah's stomach knot. It was Jenna, a friend from their past, and the last person she wanted to face now. Uncertainty replaced the warmth. Would her presence bring up old wounds? Would this be the moment everything shattered again? Sarah felt her heart race. This was going to change everything. What would happen when she saw Jenna? Would old pains resurface, or could Sarah muster the resolve to truly embrace the new beginning? Jenna strode into the cafe with an unmistakable energy. The air shifted, tangling excitement with anxiety. Sarah felt the walls close in. It had been years since she last saw Jenna, but the memories flooded back: sunny brunches, laughter, and eventually, painful goodbyes. Hey, Sarah. Jenna's voice rang out, cheerful and bright as fresh morning light. It was an invitation that opened doors Sarah thought had been long shut. "Hi, Jenna," she managed, trying to keep her tone casual. Her heart raced as Jenna approached their table. Jake glanced up, surprise etched across his face. "Wow, Jenna. It's been a while." Jenna smiled at both of them, though her eyes lingered on Lucy. "And who is this?" "The cutest little girl I've ever seen." Lucy beamed, absorbing the compliment like candy. "I'm Lucy. We're about to have a picnic in the park." The mention of the picnic ignited a flicker of enthusiasm in Jenna's eyes. "A picnic? That sounds amazing. I'd love to join you if that's okay." The request hung in the air, heavy with history. Sarah's mind spiraled. Jenna's presence could either be a bomb or just another reminder of everything they'd lost. She exchanged a wary glance with Jake. It was a tightrope walk between nostalgia and the uncomfortable reality of that past. Sarah began, her heart pulling her in two directions. But Lucy didn't wait for her mom to finish. "Of course. The more, the merrier. Right, Mom?" Her daughter's enthusiasm warmed something deep inside Sarah, but it also added a layer of pressure. Could Lucy really understand the complexity of their situation? Was this not a fragile moment they were desperately trying to protect? Jake's reassuring presence steadied her resolve. "Yeah, Jenna. We do love your company. It could be fun." "Great," Jenna said, her infectious smile brightening the dimmed corners of the cafe. "Let me know what I can bring." Sarah faked a smile, but her thoughts screamed in unison. How could she invite someone into this, since everything felt so precarious? Still, a part of her longed to look back at the happier days with Jenna, remembering the laughter they'd shared before they'd drifted apart. As they continued to chat about the picnic, Sarah couldn't shake off the gnawing feeling in her stomach. What secrets would Jenna bring along, and would they reawaken those ghosts from the past that Sarah was trying to bury? "Maybe I can pick up some sandwiches on my way," Jenna suggested. "They're south that place we used to love." Sarah's throat tightened. Memories danced around her, and what was once cozy, shared history now felt like a minefield. "Sounds good," Jake replied, his eyes flitting between Sarah and Jenna, gauging the storm brewing beneath the surface. With every exchange, Sarah felt the joyful energy of the moment battling with shadows of fear. Could she allow this friendship to blossom again? Could they face each other's truths without the baggage weighing them down? Lucy, oblivious to the tension, excitedly chattered about games to play at the park. Her laughter rang like wind chimes, a reminder of joy worth fighting for. But could Sarah confront her past for the sake of a future? Just as they began discussing logistics, Sarah noticed Jenna's expression shift. A flicker of something darker. Was it regret? Discomfort? "Sarah," Jenna's voice softened, holding a weight unseen. "Can we talk, just for a moment? I need to say something I should have said a long time ago." A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Everything was about to change. Could this conversation bridge the gaps, or would it shatter the fragile beginnings of hope they'd just started to build? As the world outside the cafe buzzed with life, Sarah felt suspended in uncertainty, teetering on the edge of past and future. What hung in the air? Would she find the courage to face what lay ahead, or would the pendulum swing back to despair? Jenna's words hung heavy, a weight that pressed down like an anchor in Sarah's chest. She could feel Lucy's excitement radiating beside her, yet the uncertainty swirling in her heart overshadowed the joy of their upcoming picnic. As Jenna leaned closer, Sarah realized this was a moment she couldn't ignore. "Okay," Sarah said slowly, her voice even though her heart raced. "What do you need to tell me?" Jenna glanced at Lucy, who was still chattering about games and snacks, her gleeful spirit untouched by the tension. "Can we talk in private?" Jenna's tone was serious, but not aggressive. It carried a sincerity that caught Sarah off guard. "Is it really necessary?" Sarah asked, trying to mask the trepidation that bubbled beneath the surface. She wanted to protect the fragile peace they had just begun to build, but curiosity tugged at her. What could Jenna have to say? "Please," Jenna replied, her eyes earnest. "It's important." With a tight nod, Sarah rose from the table and followed Jenna a few steps away, feeling Jake's gaze on her back. She could sense his worry and support wrapped around her like a blanket, though his presence also reminded her of the canyon of uncertainties still looming between them. "What is going on, Jenna?" Sarah asked once they were out of earshot, keeping her voice low. Jenna inhaled deeply, steadied herself, and then spoke earnestly. "I've watched you from the sidelines since everything happened." Her eyes were soft, filled with regret. "I didn't know how to reach out then, but I always cared, you know?" Sarah drew a breath, feeling the weight of lost time seep in. "What do you want, Jenna?" The words came out sharper than intended, propelled by years of hurt and distance. "I want to apologize for disappearing when you needed me most. I thought I was respecting your space, but I see that I should have been there for you and Lucy. You both were the last bits of home I felt connected to, and then I let fear take me away." Her words flowed, a stream of honesty that Sarah couldn't ignore. "I don't think it matters now," Sarah replied, a mix of sorrow and resilience in her heart. "Do you really think you can just waltz in after all this time and expect everything to be normal?" Jenna held her gaze steady. "I don't expect anything. I just hope you can reconsider letting me back in. If the bond we had meant anything, I want to help you rebuild what was lost, especially for Lucy. She deserves to know there's more love to go around, not just the love that's been missing." Those words hung in the air like a promise unfulfilled, weighing heavily on Sarah. Could she stand before Jenna, with memories of laughter and joy, and not let the past govern her? Suddenly, she saw Lucy through the cafe window, dancing in excitement, her spirit unbroken. "Mom, don't forget the sandwiches," Lucy yelled, calling back in playful innocence. Sarah's heart squeezed. Lucy. The very thought of her illuminated every shadow lurking in her heart. "I'll think about it, Jenna," Sarah finally said, feeling the flicker of hope and fear mix. "But it's not just about us. It's about Lucy too." "Of course," Jenna replied with a gentle smile. "She's the light. I want her to have everything she needs." They returned to the table, and Lucy's voice broke through the still air again, bright and cheerful. "Are we going to have the best picnic ever?" Her joy was infectious, drawing a genuine smile from Sarah. "Absolutely," Jenna chimed in, her energy transforming the mood. As they discussed their plans, Sarah took in the scene around them, the lively chatter of other patrons, the aroma of coffee and syrup wafting through the air, and her daughter's shining spirit. In that moment, surrounded by both new and familiar faces, she felt the walls that had grown so high begin to crack. Cake, laughter, and pancakes had brought them back together, but it was the raw truth that rooted them in hope. Could they really forge a new family dynamic in the midst of all this uncertainty? Would they create a space that honored both dreams and past connections? She glanced at Jake, who looked on with a mixture of apprehension and understanding. This was a beginning, a chance for a new chapter, one that could embrace both change and healing. "Let's do this," Sarah said, her voice steady and full of conviction. "Let's take Lucy to the park, share laughter, build memories, and see where this journey leads." As they rose to leave, Sarah felt a swell of unity settle within her. No matter how tangled their past, facing the future together, Jake, Lucy, Jenna felt like a worthy adventure. She wasn't just rebuilding a bridge to the past. They were constructing a road into the light of possibility. With Lucy leading the way, they stepped out of the cafe and into the golden afternoon sun, the warmth washing over them like a sweet promise. And in that moment, Sarah embraced the thrill of the unknown. Together, they ventured toward the park, holding hands and hearts opened wide, ready to weave the fabric of their new lives. For the first time in a long while, hope surged like the rising tide. It felt refreshing and real, a promise of healing and transformation waiting just around the corner. And somewhere, within that golden light of possibility, Sarah knew that they were finally on the brink of something extraordinary. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for more life-changing moments. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to be a part of this community, and together, we can inspire change.